guys, it's your girl L Just Living. Welcome back to my channel. All right, so right now I really just want to chit chat with you guys because I'm on a little vacation. I got a little time to myself. Hubby's at work, baby Z's at school, nursery. So this is like my me time. So I'm using this time to work on my businesses. As you know, all 2022 I have been talking about focusing and growing my business, and guess what? 2023 is no different. So what I plan to do this next year is to share more about my business process and growing my different businesses with you all. Yeah, so that you are, you know, just a little bit more involved. You know what your girl got going on, and maybe you can learn something in case some of these businesses are some of the things that you also want to do. So the very first business that I'm going to be talking about is my book. As you know, your girl authored her very first book January 1st, 2022, Zacky's Wacky World. The book series, Who Am I, is the identity series from this collection. Now, its primary focus is on Zacky, who's inspired by the life of my son, Zacky, a kid born in Dubai to an American mother and an African father. So we get to go along his journey of self-identity and him learning about who he is in this world. Now, 2023, I am releasing or re-releasing American Me. This will drop January 1st, 2023. And so I've actually already written that book and done illustrations and everything. And to be honest, I'm already working on book number 3, which will come out January 1st, 2024. Yes, your girl is getting ahead of the game. I'm getting ahead of the game. So I want to walk you through that process and what that process is like for many new beginning authors who may be interested in taking the same steps or learning from my mistakes as well as my successes. Let's get into it. Okay, so if you have been following my journey, then you know that I am self-published. This is my first book right here. Look at it. Look at the creativity. Yes. And one of the questions that I get all the time is, how did you come up with the idea? How did you write it? How did you do the illustrations? Well, I'm going to answer all of those questions right now. The inspiration, of course, as I stated before, it comes from the life of my very own son, Zacky. So that inspired the story and the writing. I'm a writer at heart. So once I came up with the idea for what I wanted to write about and what I wanted this first book to be about, I simply laid out each page how I wanted to present the idea, how I want the idea to unfold. It's like a storyline. It is a storyline. If you remember in school where we used to have those graphic organizers, or if you're an educator and you've used those graphic organizers where you're laying out a story, it's no different process, honestly. With writing, with film, when you're telling a story, the storyline is essentially, the basic storyline is essentially the same. You have your beginning, your middle, your end, right? You have your intro, you have your climax, you have your ending, all of that good stuff. It's the same thing at the end of the day. So I laid out how I wanted the flow of my story to go. I created words to go along with the idea, if that makes any sense. Once I laid out my words in my pages, in my mind, of course, you have to put it on paper. I'm a writer, and I do believe that when it comes to developing ideas, it's best to write your ideas first. So I may write to my ideas first and then type up my ideas. And honestly, the writing process for a 12-page book, it could be a couple of days, it could be weeks, it could be months. For my first book, it took me 2 weeks because I was constantly rewriting and updating and rewriting and updating every single day for hours each day to make sure that I got it just right, and the idea that I wanted to be translated was translated in a way for both parents and children to understand. And it was the first one, so multiple hours the first day. I feel like that first one was a success because I've gotten great feedback on the book. All right, so now that we got our writing on the page, and it can be a Word document, just outlining each page on a Word document. You may come back and visit this writing, but we need the illustrations. And what I have learned in the writing process is that once you get your ideas and once you are sure of what you want your book to look like, go ahead and find an illustrator. Now, there are many Facebook groups out there where you can find an illustrator to work with. Maybe it's someone you know who's really creative at drawing, and you can ask them to illustrate your book. If you're a good writer, you can illustrate your own book. Excuse me. If you're a good drawer, you can illustrate your own book. I'm not that good of a drawer, and I'm not that good with the illustration technologies that are out there, but there are some technologies out there, programs out there for you to download and kind of create your own book. But what I did was I found my illustrator on Fiverr, and that's the person I've been using each and every time. Now, granted, sometimes with Fiverr, it's a 50-50 chance that you find someone good there, but I happen to find someone who has delivered the good quality work that I want for my first collection. So I got lucky. So you have to look around and compare, okay? Don't just go with the first person you see. Ask questions. Do some research and some digging. That's why I say start early, because you really want this person to be someone that you can possibly, if you're doing a series like I am, you want it to be someone who can deliver the same consistent illustrations to go across all of your books, so that you can have that uniform feel, that connection, because you don't want to have an illustrator here, they don't do what you like, you pay them, then the next book you have another illustrator and your characters are just not, they don't look the same. And I came across a situation where that almost happened to me. I found an awesome illustrator on Facebook. Cost of that particular illustrator was just not what I was willing to pay at that time starting out. So when I found someone on Fiverr who was a little bit more affordable and who could deliver the product that I want, that's what I ended up sticking with, and I'm pretty happy with the product. So get your illustrations, find your illustrator, and send them your illustrations as soon as possible so that they can start working on them, because you may have to make some changes along the way, and it takes time to create good art. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. It takes quite a bit of time. And let me rewind just a little bit. You need to know what size you want your book to be. Now, children's books comes in different sizes. Well, all books come in different sizes and formats for that matter. Now, what I chose for my collection is the 8x5 by 8x5 size. This is what I use. And so when you're sending your images, your image ideas to your illustrator, it's good to let them know what size the book is so that they can make sure that the dimensions of the images that they're sending to you fits that size book, and that your color and your images are perfect for your book size. Okay, so that's just another FYI. Do the research, figure out which size is best for what you're trying to do, whether it be coloring book, children's book, autobiography, biography, whatever type of book you're writing that would require illustrations. Make sure that you are certain about the size of it and let your illustrator know that. Now, what I like to do while my illustrator is working on the art, and sometimes usually it takes about a month, because we're going back and forth about the illustrations. But during that process, I'm fine-tuning my writing. And when you're doing writing, it's always good to have someone else take another look at your writing. And if you're not the best writer, but you have the best awesome ideas and you need someone to look over it, hire an editor. And I do that too. If you're looking for an editor, please check the link down in the description box and I got you. But if you know someone who is close to you who can edit your work the way that you want to, then definitely let them look over it. Or you can find editors on Facebook, Instagram, social media. There's everyone that does some of everything on social media that you can find, and they also have editors on Fiverr. But if you know someone personally whose work you trust, I highly recommend them. And you want someone who has an expertise in that area. If it's a children's book, if it's a book for adults, you'll want someone who's familiar with that type of storytelling so that they understand your language, your creative eye, and of course punctuation and grammar matters. All right, so you've written your book, you've gotten your illustrations back, and you love it. So now you need someone who can format. Now, if you are doing self-publishing, and that's pretty much what I'm talking about because that's what I did, then you will want to find a formatter who is familiar with the program that you're using. So there are many out there, Ingram Sparks and KDP, which is the Amazon company. I used KDP. So I found a formatter who could format my book for me, and they are familiar with the KDP specifications. Okay, so it's very important because whatever they do is what you will be uploading to the KDP website, and if there's an error, they will deny uploading your book. And you will have to go back to the formatter, and they will have to do it all over again until they get it right. So my recommendation is to find someone who is already well versed, someone who is experienced in that area for that company. That way they already know everything that they have to do. And let me say this, some illustrators will add your text to your books as well for you. I personally like to add my own text. I use Canva to add my text, write out my story. I always use Canva. Your illustrator usually will also create a cover photo for you as well as the inside pages. However, I have a great formatter who is awesome at creating the cover pages. So some formatters will design a cover page for you as well. So those are questions that you want to ask your illustrator and ask your formatter beforehand, before you actually hire them. If that's what you want them to do, make sure you ask all of those questions up front. So I have all of my images, I have my text, and it's ready to go. So I send everything to my formatter. Just like the illustrator and editor, you can find your formatter on Fiverr, on Facebook, on Instagram, someone you already know and trust. Maybe you can do some research and learn how to do it yourself. There are some formatters who will also do the ebook formatting for you as well as your hardcover. For my first book, I only went with the hard copy formatting, my book formatting, and I actually went online and learned how to format my ebook myself. It wasn't a problem. Maybe that's something I could show you to do in another video. So I sent my work over to my formatter, and he has sent everything back to me. Now I'm ready to go to the KDP website and upload all of my material. Many, if not all, self-publishing companies, they do it for free. Well, they don't necessarily do it for free, but it doesn't cost you any fees to upload your book and start selling it. Now, yes, they will have a portion of the cost, most definitely. Otherwise, I mean, they're a company, they're in business to make money, right? So they will take a portion of the fee. You set the price for your book. They will give you a minimum for the book because they have to print the book, and of course they have to make money from the book, and then you get your portion of the book, and that portion, your portion, could range anywhere from 60 to 80% of the sales. So you may put your book online for $15. You're not getting the whole $15. The cost of printing, let's say the cost of printing is $5. So out of the $15, the cost of printing is going to be $5. So that brings your book down to $10. And then Amazon has to get their part, and maybe their part is 30% and you get 70. So then that means you get $7 from each book. I'm not saying those are the numbers, but just giving you an idea of what that's like. So once you upload your book, you've uploaded your cover, you've set your price, you have your ISBN. Now I will tell you, some companies like Amazon, they will give you an ISBN for your book. However, if you use their ISBN, that means you cannot sell that particular title anywhere else. So another recommendation, if that is not something that you're interested in, then I recommend you purchasing your ISBN on your own. Now you can buy these in bulk, and if you're going to be publishing multiple books, I highly recommend doing that, but do that in advance because sometimes it could take a couple of days, a few days before those ISBNs are ready for you. So, and you do have to pay for those. When you pay for them on your own, it could cost you around $100. It's going to cost you to pay. Then it's going to take a little time for them to finalize, send you the ISBNs, and then you can add your own ISBN to the books. But if you want the free version that the publishing company provides for you, just be aware that you will not be able to sell that title anywhere else. If that's not a problem for you, then go for it. It will be free if you are uploading to Amazon, I know for sure. But if you get in trouble with Amazon for doing something suspiciously wrong, they will snatch your book off the shelf. They will do that. I have not had that happen to me. I've only heard about it. After your book has been approved, it usually takes about a day or 2 or 3. It could take up to a week for your book to be approved online. But once it's live, you can start advertising your book as for sale on whichever publishing platform that you choose. After it goes live, you can order your author copies of your book. This is interesting because I ordered my author's copies and they take a lot longer to be delivered than if I just went on Amazon and purchased the book. So literally when I published my book January 1st, 2022, I ordered my author's copies, and people who went online and purchased my book on January 3rd, they actually received their books before I did. They received their books before I received a copy of my book. But hey, that's no problem for me. The author's copies usually range from 10 days to 15 days, sometimes 20 days, depending on the time of the year and if they're busy. Yeah, they could take a while. They can take a while. Usually around 2 weeks it has taken for me to get my author's copies from Amazon, from KDP, so that I can have my copies and you can sell them on your own. And when you purchase the author's copy, they don't charge you the full price, $15, if that's the price of your book. It's going to be the cost for printing. So that will be the cost that they will charge you for each of your books. So let's say it costs $5 to print the book. You will pay $5 for your book to be delivered to you directly, and you can sell those books yourself, whether it be at a book fair or hey, at the grocery store, and you see some people who want to purchase your book. That's pretty much my experience in a nutshell. Of course, it does get a lot deeper than that. And if you are interested in consultation, one-on-one consultations where I walk you through the entire process of self-publishing, then do use the link down below in my description to book your appointment, and I will be happy to meet with you and we can talk about getting started with your first book. I hope this was informative for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments below if you're interested in learning more about publishing your books, or if you have any other questions about any of the projects that I have going on and coming up. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead, subscribe to your girl's channel. Look forward to sharing more with you this year. As always, it's your girl L, just living. Love you bunches. Bye-bye.